Good morning and welcome to Morning Brew on Politics Social. I'm Graham Hughes. It is Wednesday, the 14th of January, 2026. Whew, feels like Groundhog Day, doesn't it? This month is apparently got 974 days in it. So, we're almost halfway there. Almost halfway through January. Yes, almost half. We're not even halfway. We're not... Anyway, before we get on to everything else, we'll say hello to Diz and Billy and Sarah and Elle and SG and Sarah in the chat. We've got Miss Paula Thomas in there and Dog4x4 and Viper Scott and City Life. Hello one, hello all. If you'd like to join our wonderful friends in the wonderful chat, all you need to do is hit the subscribe button and wait for approximately 1 minute and you'll be able to join in with the chat. But don't be a troll or we will mute you and boot you. So today we're going to be talking about the railways because the government's supposed to be making an announcement today about what they're going to do about the northern leg, or what was legs, but let's just say leg for now, of HS2 from Birmingham. So a little bit of a history lesson. Going back in time into the 2000s when Labour were in government the first time in my life, rather than the second, there was a big announcement that they were going to build a new high-speed railway between London and the north. And it's got as far as Birmingham. And we're going to get into that in a moment. But the government was going to make an announcement. I don't know if they still are. I just checked before I came on today, just to make sure that they haven't actually made an announcement on this. But they are supposed to be making an announcement. I've heard rumours. I don't know. Maybe it'll happen later today. But I thought this would give me an opportunity to talk about HS2. So first of all, what Labour have announced today is they have announced Northern Powerhouse Rail again, which was first announced in 2014 by the Tories. So there you go. A renewed vision for the North. Faster journeys, upgraded lines, new stations in a phased delivery. 1.1 billion has been allocated for design and preparation, not construction, with major works pushed beyond 2030. Now, you might notice that 2030 doesn't mean 8:30 tonight. It means after the next election. So literally nothing's going to happen until after the next election. So if people want to say, oh yeah, well, once Labour make people feel like they're better off, yeah, they're not planning to do that until after the next election. But, the usual political language, transformation, unlocking potential, ending lip service. But the reality is there's no firm funding beyond 2029, no committed delivery timetable, and capped central funding. And this announcement exists in the shadow of HS2 and cannot be understood without it, because the original logic of Northern Powerhouse Rail depended on HS2's northern legs, feeding capacity to the north. Without Birmingham to Manchester and Birmingham to Leeds on the HS2, Northern Powerhouse Rail is structurally weakened before it starts. However, at the moment, it's still quicker for me to drive in a car than it is to take a train from Durham to Liverpool. I'll say that again. It is quicker to drive in a car. Even if I'm going direct, even if I'm not changing stations in Manchester, having to traipse across Manchester city centre where it's invariably raining, have to walk past the god-awful eyesore that is the Piccadilly Gardens and everything around it. Jesus Christ, Manchester. Sort your shit out. Come here, Manchester. Sort your shit out. Piccadilly Gardens, fucking gross. It was horrible in the 90s when I was there as a student. And then they thought they'll do it up by building like it all concrete and putting a fucking, I don't know, a Berlin Wall up. There's a Berlin Wall. They just have a concrete wall for like no reason whatsoever. And it's horrible. It's just so grim and gloomy and depressing. Like it's their city centre. Fucking hell, Manchester, sort it out, lads. Sort it out. Anyway, right. The garden in the middle of Madrid train station is nicer. And that's in a building. It's not on the outside. Anyway. But yeah, sorry. Born in Liverpool, studied in Manchester, live in Durham, right? And also went to every country in the world without flying, which meant that I had to take public transport. I wasn't allowed to drive myself. I took public transport pretty much everywhere that public transport was available. And there's a few places where public transport was not available because it was an island. I might have hitched a ride on a sailboat now and again in the Caribbean. But other than that, it was scheduled ground transport. My connection to this is understandable, I guess. But also, it's something that I've had a lot of experience of in my 46 short years on this planet. The daily reality of these of traveling between Newcastle and Liverpool on overcrowded, unreliable, slow intercity services up here in the north is just fucking disgraceful. It's quicker to get to London. It's quicker to get to London from here than it is to get to Liverpool. How does that actually happen? I've seen firsthand how countries much poorer than Britain build railways faster, cheaper, and better. And Britain's failure has got nothing to do with our geography. It's all about governance, planning culture, political cowardice, and fucking NIMBYs. And people still want to pretend that they love this country. Oh, I love Britain. I love Britain so much. I'm going to climb up a lamppost and put up a flag. I'm going to paint a roundabout to show how much I love this country. All right. Some knobhead down in Langley Park, is it? In Durham, he's got a fucking Trump flag up. He's got a Trump flag up here in Durham. Fucking Trump flag. What the fuck, man? If you want to show that you really love your country, stop being a fucking NIMBY. Stop whinging about the fact that there's going to be a new train line or new houses for people to live in or new wind turbines for people to be able to get clean energy that isn't reliant on some tin pot dictatorship on the other side of the fucking planet. How about that for a bit of patriotism? Hey, wankers. Anyway, you know the type. But look, let's get into HS2 because there's a story about it on the front cover of the Financial Times today, revealing that mile for mile, HS2 is the most expensive railway in the world in history. In fact, the Turin to Milan, is it? No, it's not. Where is the? There's a rail. Let me just check. Let me just check on this one. There's a railway. Let's have a look. The Lyon to Turin. I thought it was in France. I was like, hang on, that can't be right. Milan and Turin are both in Italy. So this is the Lyon to Turin line that's getting put in under the fucking Alps, which is requiring them to tunnel under the Alps. And that's cheaper. That is cheaper. And an international line going under the tallest mountain range in Europe. And that's cheaper, mile for mile, than HS2. So we really, really need to get into this. But before I do, I'm going to encourage you gently to help out with the old Confetti Fund because it's all for dears, really, if you think about it. But it keeps us afloat, which is nice. You want to keep politics social afloat, don't you? So I'll start that now. Got bags of time. Don't worry. Don't rush. Don't rush yourselves. But if we get 10 super chats, any flavour, then we will unleash the confetti cannon. Right. So yeah, fucking a train line from Lyon to Turin under the Alps is going to be cheaper than HS2. I mean, just what is even happening? So let's talk about what your HS2 was supposed to be. As I said, it was supposed to go to Birmingham, and it was supposed to branch off. One branch off to the north west, the other off to the northeast. The purpose was never just speed, and this is the biggest mistake that successive governments made. Started with Labour, and then continued on with the Cameron government, and then Tory governments after that. They called it HS2. Should have never called it that. They should have never modelled this as a high-speed line. It should have just been a line, a normal line. Why? Because then you can make it a lot cheaper. We're not going across vast distances. I've travelled on the train from the capital of Tibet, Lhasa, all the way to the capital of China, Beijing. It took 2 days. That train line is an engineering wonder. Like it goes through permafrost. It comes down from the Himmer fucking layers, 5,000 meters above sea level in the shadow of Mount Everest, and it gets all the way down to Beijing. And it takes 2 days, and they built it all in half the time. Not even half the time, a quarter of the time it's taken them to build this shitty fucking 60-mile railway, is it, from London to Birmingham? if we moved moving long distance services, passenger services onto HS2 will free up the West Coast Main Line, it will free up the East Coast Main Line, and allow more regional commuter and freight services on those lines. And we could have a line that was dedicated as an intercity line. If you have all the same type of trains running on all the same track at all the same speed, you can have them going every 3 fucking minutes. The problem is you have 57 different train operating companies, and they have 57 different types of train that they have. They have these little slow ones that run on diesel. They've got these electric ones that go a bit faster. You've got these ones that tilt as you go around corners. But if you've got a train that is going at 125 miles an hour, but it's stuck behind a train that's going at 40 miles an hour, there's literally no point in that train being able to do 125 miles an hour because it's never going to get anywhere faster than 40 miles an hour. Plus, all of the places in the UK are pretty close together. This is a little island. You know, when you think about like where these trains have to stop, if you can get your train up to like 400 kilometers an hour, great. You'll just about get to that speed, and then you have to start braking again because you're going to have to stop at the next station. I mean, just... Anyway, HS2 and Northern Powerhouse Rail was meant to be a joined up system, and cutting the northern legs didn't scale back the project. It broke the logic entirely. Now, look, Labour might be able to claw this back and say, right, announced today. It might happen. I don't know. I'm keeping an eye on the feed in case there is an announcement while I'm broadcasting. I'm sure Chrissy will let us know if there is. But yeah, they bought the land from Birmingham all the way up to Manchester, right? They bought the land where HS2 was going to go, including buying land off Boris Johnson's dad for like £5 million of taxpayers' money. That happened. But yeah, I mean, HS2, the world's most expensive railway. The world's most expensive. Costs more per metre than the Japanese bullet train, the Alpine tunnels that I've just mentioned under the Alps, the French, Spanish and German high-speed lines that they've built. The current estimates exceed £100 billion for less than half of the originally planned route. Taxpayers are currently paying £140 million per week for a line that barely exists. And this was the issue. HS2 was marketed politically as a prestige high-speed project. It was designed for 360 to 400 kilometers an hour speed. You know, straight, flat alignment, slab track instead of ballast. These things that you need when you have a really fucking fast train. You can't have if you're going to have a corner, you can't have a corner. You've got to have a very gentle curve. Otherwise, the train will fall off like your Scalextric cars when you go around to a corner too fast. That's it. You got to slow down to go around corners, unless you build the railway in such a way that you don't have to. But then the speed obsession overrid everything else, just any kind of fucking logic, right? Because as anyone knows who has bothered actually looking at the travel time to anywhere on Google Maps or TomTom Go or whatever you use, you'll notice that it doesn't make a lick of shit difference whether you travel at 80 miles an hour and break the law or travel at 70 miles an hour and don't break the law on a motorway. The time difference is like minutes, if that. Once you're going, once you're off, once you're traveling, your biggest problem is having to stop. If you have to stop in the services because the kids need to wee, or you need to petrol fill your car or fill it with electricity or whatever you do, right? Then that's going to put time on your journey. And so, like, these increments of speed, it just doesn't make any difference. It does not make any difference at all. But what it meant was that they had to do excessive tunnelling, which was also to do with the NIMBYs. They had to do these massive cuttings because they wanted it all to be as flat as possible. You know, it's not just good enough for it to be dead straight like a Roman road. It's also got to be dead flat as well. You've got these long viaducts, and every extra kilometre per hour increased the cost of the project exponentially. And the capacity could have been delivered without this stupid obsession with extreme speed that we do not need. We do not need it in this country. We are a small country where all of the places where people live are very close to each other. We don't live in a fucking desert or spaced out wherever there's a fucking oasis. Do you know what I mean? But this was, I don't know, was it like political vanity? What was it? Tell you what, though, the failure was locked in from the start with HS2. It was authorised when the design was only 4% complete, just like Donald Trump's fucking ballroom. It was passed through bespoke parliamentary bills that locked in the scope too early, prevented later course correction. There was no sitting down and going, well, what if this doesn't work? What if that doesn't work? What if we change our mind? What if the money runs out? What if the cost of this spirals from like the 16 billion they thought it was going to cost up to 100 billion that it is going to cost? No government wanted to admit mistakes once the sunk costs were mounted. And obviously the Tories blame Labour and Labour are blaming the Tories. But we've had 7 prime ministers in the time since they announced HS2. 7 prime ministers. We've had 5 fucking elections. We've had an EU referendum. And then we've also got the fact that HS2 Limited was created a delivery body whose survival depended on the project continuing. Like, what were they thinking? Like, the contractors were embedded inside the HS2 management systems. So it was like giving prizes for failure. Like, oh, you fuck up. It takes too long. Goes over on, you're overrun on cost. You're overrun on time. It's fine. Because the people deciding on what happens next are the people who are getting paid to build the fucking thing. The oversight of this whole thing is just bonkers. It's absolutely crazy. And then you've got the contractors who were paid more the more money was spent. And no incentive at all to control costs. Department of Transport lacked technical expertise because they just didn't know. They didn't bring people in who had built high-speed lines across Europe or in China. Didn't bring them in, Network Rail was sidelined despite having the operational experience of running the British train lines for decades. And, you contrast that with Japan. They had a central public body with a technical authority over it who standardized designs and they had a continuous budget adjusted based on reality. It wasn't just a chunk of money that they just set aside in 2007. Oh, it will cost this much, I think. I don't know. Who knows? This kind of guy guessing. Make it a public body. Why have you got people making the decisions of how much it's going to cost and what they're going to do who benefit personally from it costing more and taking longer and having more things to build? You have an oversight committee who have no financial interest at all in this project, costing more, taking longer, building more shit that they don't need, using more materials, using more labour. Just the entire way that this project was handled from top to bottom, left to right, was absolute idiocy. And we had like viaducts that were designed to look like a skipping stone over a fucking lake. Give a shit. Fuck off. I don't want viaducts, architectural statements in this day and age. That would have been great in the Victorian era when you could spend a lot of money building a beautiful viaduct like the one that, hovers over Durham like a bird of prey. But to be honest, I don't care. I don't really. Oh, we've got to make this concrete bridge. You can't make a concrete bridge beautiful, mate. It's fucking concrete. Just make a fucking bridge. It's infrastructure. Thousands of unique components were made for this fucking viaduct, the skipping stone viaduct, into the standardized modules. Building for beauty, prioritize over cost control, and this also tapped in to the endless NIMBYs who were saying, "Oh, we want it in a tunnel. Everything in a tunnel." Obviously, once you put something in a tunnel, the cost of it increases massively. Every bridge on this route was treated as a one-off sculpture. It works brilliantly for winning fucking awards, but for actually getting the project finished on time and on budget, it's fucking catastrophic. It's not an art project. It's critical infrastructure that we need for this country. And where did they start building this fucking thing? In fucking the south. They started it in fucking London. The fuck off. Gobshites. They should have started it in the north where we need it more. But no, can't be doing that, We'll start it in the south and we'll push this route through wealthy, politically powerful areas of Tory voting NIMBY cunts. Oh, brilliant. What a great idea. What a plan. Did these people sit around the table and go, how can we make this project so it'll never fucking possibly work the way we want it to? How? How do we do it? Let's put something in place where there will be endless objections, endless hearings, endless court dates, endless redesigns to keep everybody happy. Let's run around and ask every fucking Tory voter in the country if they're happy about something. Of course they're not happy. They're Tory voters. They're not happy about anything. They're little bastards. They're sitting there in their 1,000 million fucking quid bloody mansions, sitting there going, oh, look at me, I'm in a mansion. Oh, it's worth 700 million fucking pounds. Oh, I'm fucking doing well. Oh, but I'm so angry about everything. What should I be angry about today? Quick, pick up a newspaper. Oh, migrants. The EU. Trans people. Oh, God, I'm so angry now. I'm going to go out and punch an orphan in the face. That's for being poor, you little shit. I'm going to keep all the money for myself and complain about everything endlessly, forever. No, nothing can change. Everything has to stay the same. Oh no, where have all the services gone? Where's the Bobby on the beat? Where's the local NHS centre? Where's all the amenities gone? Why is the pub closed down? Why is society folded in on itself? Because you voted for cunts who said that they don't believe in society. You see, that's what happens. Because your little village, your little twat village, right? All you rich bastards living in it, all getting very angry about whatever the Express tells you to be angry about, right? All of you little motherfuckers, you voted for people who said, I want to destroy society. And you look around and you go, where's society gone? Oh, it's all individualism now. Oh, I'm so lonely. Oh, male loneliness epidemic. Yeah, you vote for fucking isolationism. You vote for atomization. Yeah, what the fuck do you expect? You got what you voted for. Daft twats. Anyway, the big example that's always trotted out is this bat tunnel. There was a bat tunnel. 119 million pounds spent on a tunnel to protect bats. Are they particularly endangered species, bats? Well, I don't know. Species of bat. I don't know. But here's the thing, ladies and gents. If we don't build this shit that is, running on electricity, which we can generate using clean methods, not by digging toxic sludge out the ground and burning the bastard, stuff that we can power through solar panels and wind turbines, those bats stand a good chance of being here in 100 years. But if we continue going on the way we are, everyone just jumping on the M6 to go south because it's cheaper and faster and easier, those bats ain't going to be there, mate, because the bats are all going to be dead, along with the rest of us, because we'll have cooked this planet to oblivion. Just like Venus. Runaway climate change. Runaway greenhouse effect. Good old Venus, the planet where nothing can possibly ever live because of the greenhouse effect. The heat comes from the sun, got nowhere to go. And so, Britain has created a system in which every daft, NIMBY, twat, refuck, Tory, UKIP, National Front, Nazi voter gets a fucking veto. And no one has responsibility. Who's in charge of HS2? Go on, tell me. Who the fuck is in charge of this massive project that's costing over £100 billion? Who is in charge? Who do we blame when it goes wrong? I don't fucking know. They don't seem to know. Is there a chief exec that we should all be, lambasting at the moment for fucking all this up? It's all by committee. Whereas, and they've done this on purpose because it's hard, isn't it, to to take all your grief out on a committee, isn't it? It's like no one builds a statue to a committee. Yeah. But also, committee's a great thing to hide behind. Oh, this was a joint decision made by blah, 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 blah. This plan that they had for HS2 to build through dense cities, just like massively inflating costs, compulsory purchase was wildly underestimated early on. Don't forget as well, when they started HS2, it was like 2007, and they were looking at 2007 property prices. Have a look at the average price of stuff since 2007. It's gone like that. Because we're not building anything. Because every time we try and build something, there's always a fucking objection. And then we do daft things like we go, so you'll have, here's a mad thing, right? So according to the latest sort of missives, whatever, from the government, they want to build on brownfield sites. So you have your cities, you have your greenfield sites, which in the green belt, which can't be touch. So you know that's sacrosanct. You can't build stuff on there unless you want to build an Amazon warehouse, a big ugly box, a big ugly grey box in the middle of the countryside. You're allowed to do that, obviously, because Amazon have got loads of fucking money. Shut up. But if you want to build on you know what used to be, let's say, a supermarket, right? The rule is, even though that's a brownfield site, it's clearly a brownfield site, but it's got to be 75% has to be built on. And there's a catch here, because they don't regard the car park that surrounds the supermarket as far as the eye can see. They don't regard that as a building, because that's just pristine nature, isn't it? That's just this is true. This is that it's got to be. Yeah. So yeah, they go, oh no, sorry, this is a greenfield site. This is an old abandoned Tesco in the middle of buttfuck nowhere, and this is a greenfield site apparently. Anyway, urban chaos, urban absolute fucking chaos. London land values exploded. You know, from 2007, whenever it was announced, like they went, and that exploded the budget as well. And then at Euston, we've had repeated redesigns, hundreds of millions of wasted, and we still don't have a final plan for the train line coming into Euston. We still don't have one. And infrastructure paused like mid-construction in like the most expensive state imaginable. It's just mind-blowing. And yeah, okay, we've had Brexit as well. We've had COVID, we've had political distractions. You might say austerity as well, and all the rest of the shit the Tories did to us. Brexit consumed the political bandwidth when HS2 really needed some scrutiny, and cost warnings were ignored or buried by the Tory administration. Treasury modelling was withheld or softened around the edges, and Parliament voted without seeing the worst case scenarios. They were not presented with the worst case scenarios, and we are in the worst case scenario, where every motherfucker along every inch of this fucking train line has an objection to it. It's got to go to court. The people designing it think they're making a big art project when they're not. They're making some critical fucking infrastructure. Wind your fucking necks in. We decided that these trains have to go at 400 fucking kilometers an hour, even though if you went 400 kilometers in any direction in this fucking country, there's a good chance you'll end in the sea. Like, what the 1 hour or 400 kilometers an hour? Where are you going to be? Where are you going to be? Unless it's a direct line to Scotland. I mean, fucking hell. Fucking Aberdeen or something. Yeah, the result is this line that we've got now, this stunted fucking half abortion of a fucking line, half aborted line. We got it just ends. It just ends in fucking Birmingham. And the Tories didn't even want it to end in Birmingham. They wanted it to end on the outskirts of Birmingham, and they wanted to end in Gospel fucking Oak, wasn't it? In London, was it Gospel Oak? Willington Junction, I think wasn't it going to end somewhere? So, like, you know, these long-term projects they're essentially crushed by short-term political survival for the individual MPs, Tory MPs, who lived in the South, who were just objecting to this stuff all the time, you know, and had the money to pay for court cases to, you know, the people who they represented fucking whinged about everything. They wanted everything down into a tunnel so they didn't have to see it. Why didn't someone foresee this? Why didn't someone foresee that people in the South, not all Southerners, but a lot of them, are fucking cunts? Why didn't no one stand there and put their hand up and say, excuse me, have you thought about the fucking cunts? Have you considered the... And I'm not saying there aren't gobshites up here in the North. There absolutely is. But we're more used to it. We're more used to infrastructure up here. And we want it. We actively want it. We see stuff being built. We see new train lines going in. We see new tram lines going in, and we fucking applaud it. We don't take them to court and go, fucking, what are you doing building this fucking thing outside my house? You're like, great, I've got a train now. The spoiled bastards down in the South, they don't fucking know. They don't know what it's like. You know, I mean, there's more underground stations than there are fucking stations in the North. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're just badly served in every fucking possible way. And obviously, I'm not going to go on about the 1960s and how the Tories fucked us all over by taking away half the train network in deference to their new worship of the motorway and the automobile. But yeah, they started it. They absolutely started it and took away services from the North, not giving a shit. Not giving a shit. Everywhere I've ever lived, right? Here's something for you. Everywhere I've lived, in Liverpool, in Manchester, and here in Durham, there has been a disused railway stone's throw from where I lived. Stone's throw. Every fucking where I've lived in this city. When I lived in London, there was a train station that was a stone's throw from where I lived, but it was operational. There was a train line and everything. There were trains on the train line taking you to where you needed to go. Not anymore. My closest train line in West Derby in Liverpool is it's like a 1.5 mile walk. Broad Green, I think. Great. Start your day with a walk for 1.5 miles. Great. Good stuff. In the rain, in the sleet, in the snow. Fucking fantastic. These Londoners have the fucking nerve. And you know what? It's the commuter belt, isn't it? It's gone through the commuter belt. So there's people who work in London and commute in on the train. And they're like, I'm not going to use that train. I'll do it. Whereas in the north, if they had started in the north, people would have gone, I will use that train. Thank you for building a fucking train so I can get to Liverpool faster than it takes me to fucking drive down the A1M and the M62. Like, how is that faster? Literally, how is that faster than getting the train? It just is. It just fucking is. All this throwing stones is why you keep getting arrested. That is very true, Andy. You're very true. But yeah, so now we're left with a line that makes no sense in HS2. It runs from Birmingham to West London. Doesn't even properly reach central London. It doesn't reach the north at all. Don't forget, Birmingham is the Midlands. When we talk about the north-south divide, there is an area in the middle called the Midlands. Okay, so, you know, if you want to draw a line to say where the north starts, as far as I'm concerned, draw a line from Liverpool to Sheffield, okay, across there. Anything north of that is the north of England. Obviously, you got the further north, which is Scotland, but that's a different country, so it doesn't count as the north of England, does it? Because it's a different country. Anyway, but yeah, the Midlands, right? So it's not connecting up with us at all. It just isn't. You know, billions are spent on infrastructure that will never be used. Billions have been spent on buying up property. That is, you know, the compulsory purchasing. That's never going to happen. But billions have been spent on plans and redrafts and architectural fucking drawings and all this kind of shit and surveys and all this. And it's just been burnt. That money, you should have just shoveled it into a big burning fucking well. And like, you know, the capacity problem in the north remains unsolved. And now we've got all this fucking land bought, these properties demolished and now being sold at a loss. A loss to us, the taxpayer. What the fuck? What the fuck? Vesaloy, thank you very much for the £2 super chat. Been to Japan, amazing country, miles ahead of us. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. They invest in their infrastructure. Same in South Korea, same in Singapore, same in Malaysia, same in Thailand, actually. Same in all these countries. I mean, what they built in Spain in the last 20 years is nothing short of phenomenal. The Spanish trains are fucking amazing. You can go from one side of the country to the other in 2 hours. And it costs you fucking buttons for the same price you'll pay to get to the outskirts of London. Like, seriously? I just... From the centre of London, I mean. So look, I know that we're talking about like what we should have built instead. And I'll say it again, we should have built a high capacity railway, not a high speed vanity project. We should have had moderate speeds, maximum train frequency, compatibility with existing networks. It shouldn't have been just like its own fucking white elephant. We should have, the priority outcome of HS2 should have been to free up the West Coast Main Line and the East Coast Main Line, which are currently running at capacity with commuter trains, regional trains, freight trains, and intercity trains. Get the intercity trains off those lines, and you free them up for a lot more other stuff. Plus, it gives you an alternative when there's works being done in Peterborough and you can't take the East Coast Main Line home. That's fine. You can take the Central Main Line, which is what they should have built. They should have built alongside existing corridors where possible, and the one for me is the great Central Main Line. Was it the Great Central Main Line or just the Central Main Line? So East Coast, West Coast Main Line, right? There used to be a Central Main Line. It was shut down in like the 1960s, 70s because Tories, and it used to go from Manchester under the Pennines, like not around the Pennines, but under the Pennines, straight to Sheffield. And then it came down to London, right? From Sheffield. And I know that stuff along that route has now been built on. But it's not a virgin route like the, I don't mean virgin trains, I mean like, it's not a place that hasn't been a route before. And people said, when I discussed this with engineers, people who work building this stuff, they said, well, it won't work because it's got to be high-speed rail, it's got to be a high-speed track. And although that particular line, when it was built in the 1890s, was graded, i.e. it was off the ground or under the ground at every crossing of every road and every stable way and every river, like it wasn't on the same line. There were no level crossings at all, right? 1890s technology, fucking brilliant, right? It was originally built to go to the Channel Tunnel that they were proposing to build in the 1890s. Not the 1990s, the 1890s. It takes so long it takes to build anything these days. But yeah, it's there. It is there. And yeah, it's a walking trail now, and you'd have to lose that. But I'd rather lose a walking trail than have a railway that costs more per mile than anything ever. I think it costs more per mile than getting to the fucking moon. That might not be right, but like, fucking hell. It is an insane amount of money. An absolutely insane amount of money. Yeah, actually, it will cost more than getting to the moon. It would, because it's like hundreds of thousands of miles to get to the moon, isn't it? It didn't cost them that much. I mean, it costs a lot, but not that much. Fucking, there's your headline there. Someone work it out. Someone with a calculator, work out how much it costs to get us to the moon, how far away the moon is, there and back, and then work out how. But this is it, you know. This kind of also, yeah, before I talk about why this explains everything about modern Britain, we needed to increase the freight capacity on the West Coast and East Coast mainlands. We needed to expand commuter and regional services using the West Coast Main Line and the East Coast Main Line and taking those trains away. We didn't need a split along the way. We just didn't need it to split into two. And at Birmingham, I could have told them that. They listened to me. We could have had a really good train line going from London up to Sheffield, through the Woodhead tunnels, into Manchester. We could have done it. We could have absolutely done that. And then had a nice high-speed line, which they were intending to put in anyway, between Manchester and Liverpool, get it to Liverpool. And also the line to Sheffield that can go up to Leeds, go up to, it goes, York, up to Durham, Newcastle, and up to Edinburgh. We could have done that. We could have run lines alongside lines that currently exist, expanded what was already there, instead of having it completely separated from the rest of the system, which makes no fucking sense. It's like putting in a fucking monorail. Don't get me started on monorails. It doesn't fit in with any other system. So if the monorail breaks down, you're fucked. We need a standardized engineering, not bespoke fucking monuments in the middle of fucking nowhere that no one's going to see. So some fucking architect wins a fucking concrete award. Fuck off. I don't care. And they should have had a phased delivery starting in the north that actually delivers benefits early. Do you know what I mean? Like, the thing is with the train line is this, right? You don't need the train line to be finished from end to end before you can start using it. If you've got a section of it done, then you can start using that to get from there to there. And do you know what's useful when you start doing that? You iron out some of the kinks, some of the things that you go, oh, shit, we didn't think of that. Instead of making the whole fucking thing, then opening it all on one big opening day and then going, fuck. Which is probably what's going to happen. We can watch this back in years to come when they finally fucking open the leg between Birmingham and London. When they finally open that, there's going to be teething problems. I guarantee it. I fucking guarantee it. But yeah, what's happened with HS2 explains everything about Britain, Britain can spend money, yeah. It just can't deliver outcomes. And this is systemic into our system. We have a system that rewards delays. We have a system that rewards companies that go over budget. It's like an infinite fucking money tree. We have a system that has this risk avoidance kind of built in, where no matter what the industry is, it doesn't have to be train building. It could be the fucking post office. It could be banks. It could be manufacturers. It could be steel makers. It doesn't matter what it is. They are all shielded from the consequences of their own fucking stupid actions, their own fucking crapness of being able to do what they're supposed to fucking do. Because the government and water companies, great example, doesn't matter how much shit the water companies put in our rivers, the government will be there to say, oh, don't worry, we'll bail you out. No one will ever be held responsible. No one will ever go to jail for HS2. The fucking disaster that is HS2. No one will go to jail for stealing billions with a B, tens of billions from the British taxpayer. Like Michelle Mone isn't going to go to jail for stealing all that money off British people for a load of hospital gowns and equipment that didn't fucking work. Wasn't fit for purpose. She's kept that money and she's gone on holiday. Bought some property in fucking Honolulu or something. She'll never go to jail. And this is the thing. This is why HS2 is just a great example of all the problems that we have at the moment. We have an elderly generation, not all boomers, but an elderly generation who just have just like they retired 30 years ago on a final salary fucking pension. You know, the gold-plated pension. They get paid more for doing nothing for 30 years than we get paid for working at every hour of every fucking day. Right? And that's not all pensioners, but it is some of the pensions. So if you worked in a bank in the 1970s, right, and you're on your fucking pension now, right? And I know this isn't all banks. I know someone's going to say, oh, I worked in a bank, I got fuck all. You didn't even have to contribute to your pension that you have now. Do you know that? Banks, that's such a fucking deal. Such a sweet deal. And it's people are getting paid thousands of pounds a week for doing nothing. So that's a setup there, right? We've also got the endemic problem of older people who, you know, they think that the world owes them a living. And so we're working our asses off to try and pay for the care of these people, to pay for their pensions that they don't need. They don't need a state pension. They get a fucking fuck ton from the private fucking pension, which don't exist anymore. My generation's not going to get it. I don't know what the fuck we're going to do. I think my generation's giving us all up to take a pill when we reach our 65th birthday. And that's going to be the plan. Go to sleep, twats. Can't afford you. There's not going to be enough kids being born. And we're not allowed to have immigrants coming over here, are we? Oh, that's politically toxic. People still think that the number of immigrants coming here is going up when actually it's gone through the fucking floor. It's absolutely collapsed. Why? Because Labour stopped giving out fucking visas. Because we do control who comes into this country. But yeah, so we've got that. We've got the political fatigue. We've got the political incompetence. These people who go to the Who Are Henry schools, who get into these positions of power, haven't got a fucking clue, but they're all put into these positions of power. Paula Reynolds, who's in charge of the fucking the post office, went to private school. Because of course she did. The fucker in charge of Ofwat went to private school. The fucker in charge of Ofcom went to fucking private school. Because of course they did. The people in charge of every fucking public body in this fucking country went to fucking private school. Which means that, you know, they might be well educated and they might not be shit at their job. But I'll tell you this, they probably think they're more competent than they actually are. Because that's something that you learn in a private school, apparently. Not to be a decent human being. I think when that does happen, and some good friends of mine went to private school and are decent human beings, but I think that's a fluke more than anything. That's a bug, not a feature. They're taught, you know, nothing is impossible for you. You're amazing at everything. Even the things that you think you're really shit at. Things that everyone else thinks you're shit at, you will think you're fucking awesome. So we've got that. We've got the lack of accountability, the fact that people just want to complain, so you can't build anything because people will fucking complain about it. And no end of earache about the new thing that's been built and blah, blah, blah. And you know, HS2 isn't some anomaly here. It's a fucking template. You know, no political cost for failure. You know, only for admitting mistakes. And you know, the infrastructure, what is it supposed to be, like some kind of fucking art gallery? What is this? What is this? What do they spend the money on for? Why is there no one coming in? Right, and being like, brass tacks, what are we doing here? What the fuck are we doing here? This is insane. Now, my hope is that Labour are getting control of this. My hope is that Labour are going to be building a new train line between Birmingham and Manchester. It does not need to be a high-speed line. It's fine. And certainly it doesn't need to have fucking, I don't know, crazy fucking bespoke viaducts that cost billions of pounds because they're all got to be made in some fucking artisan factory or something. What's the fucking point? So the issue with HS2, it's not HS2's fault in itself, although I still think it's a lousy idea compared to what we could have done. But you know, and it didn't really take capacity seriously. The main problem that we've got, it didn't really address that in any way. But the issues that we find in this country towards moving forward, towards building these million homes, towards making life better for future generations. And don't forget, life has become demonstrably worse for the younger generations. The first time in history that the people who are being born today are going to be poorer than their parents, who are poorer already than their parents. So kids today are going to be poorer than their grandparents. Which makes no sense. I thought economies are supposed to grow. I thought profits are supposed to get more and more and more. No. Britain doesn't lack, engineers. It lacks visionaries. It lacks political courage. It lacks planning reform and institution. It needs planning reform, and we need to nip this institutional incompetence in the bud. Because as far as I'm concerned, you put people on a body that marks its own homework. What the fuck do you think is going to happen? So HS2 Limited, they put people in that company whose salaries depend on the project going over budget and taking too long, because that means they get to feather their nest. They get to keep on riding the gravy train for decades to come. Until these big changes are made, and Labour need to do this. Every big project is going to follow the same path as fucking HS2, including Northern Powerhouse Rail, if it ever fucking materialises. We've been told about it for over a decade now. Nothing's happened. Not a fucking spade in the ground, and there won't be a spade in the ground until the 2030s. So I'm not holding my breath on that one. But we've had big promises, endless delay, massive waste, and diminished outcomes. Let's cut our losses. Why are we making a loss? And here's the thing, right? You put money into public transport and you make money. 100% of the time. 100% of the time. You put money into public transport. But, because there's a caveat here, you need to take into account what's needed. What is needed in that place. And the solutions that have been foisted upon us over the last 60 years, 70 years have been idiotic, absolutely idiotic. We have swayed from one idiotic idea to the next. We've had this idea that we're going to build motorways everywhere, and then we're sitting in a motorway traffic all the time because everyone has to use the motorway. We build new houses where there's no shops nearby. You have to get in the car to go to your shopping. We build infrastructure that is not fit for purpose, and then we go, oh, no one's using this infrastructure, so we'll stop building anything new. But then you look at places like Manchester, where they brought the trams back in the 90s, and it was incredibly successful. Where they brought old railway lines back, the one that goes down to Didsbury. It was just, I don't know, it wasn't even a fucking cycle track. It was just an overgrown fucking track that used to have a railway on it. Now it's got a railway on it again. It's got trams going up and down it. Sensible things that we can do to improve our rail infrastructure that don't cost a fucking fortune. The one I always go on about, the fucking train station right next to Goodison in Liverpool. I know we've moved stadiums now, but there's still games being played at Goodison. The women's team play there, but also it's only half a mile away from fucking Anfield. There's a train line. The line is still there. The track is still there. It's still in use, but only as a diesel line. Why the fuck isn't there a train that goes from Liverpool Lime Street? A special on a Saturday when there's a match. Get a 1,000 people in a fucking train. Just stuff them all in. Diesel train, trundle along, go up the North Liverpool court. Off you pop. Jesus Christ. Drop them all off at the station. Come back, pick up some more. Go back to the station. You get the fucking stadium filled up in 40 fucking minutes, dickheads. Anyway, so yeah. I'm while I was saying all that, I'm sort of refreshing my my feed here to make sure that the government Rachel Reeves says that the rail upgrade will actually happen. I mean, okay. We're going to go into Labour's 13th U-turn, apparently, according to the Daily Mail. I thought it was their 15th, but never mind. Who's counting? In a moment. But yeah, Rachel Reeves has said that the Northern major rail up improvements will actually happen, as she acknowledged the HS2 rail project to become a byword for disastrous planning. Yeah, it's going to be a case study, HS2, for countries around the world in how not to do it and how not to build a new railway line. Just everything about it is just ridiculous. But yes, it's more than a decade, like I said, since the Northern Powerhouse Rail has been announced, and yeah, as I said, no spades in the ground till 2030. It's almost as though I could have read this article that's just appeared on the BBC. Are you listening to? Are you watching this BBC? Are you just transcribing what I'm saying? But yeah, nothing so far on that northern line, the line north from Birmingham yet. There was rumours that the government was going to make an announcement on that. But yeah, let's talk now about the climb downs. Okay, so we'll pop over to the papers. We'll pick up a paper, and we've got. We'll come back to the old. The climb downs in a moment, but let's go into the papers because they do mention it, right? Somehow, right? The Daily Mail scaremongering about fat jabs, and now digital ID cards won't be compulsory. Starmer's 13th U-turn. How bad does this look? How fucking shit does this look? I know me and Phil talked about this on Friday about the so many U-turns. It's like Vic and Bob singing with the Wonder Stuff singing, "You make me dizzy. My head is spinning with all these fucking U-turns." Stop doing this, Labour. Stop announcing things and then people complain about it and then changing your mind. Do the consultation before the announcement. Is this difficult? Is this fucking rocket science, Kia? Is this rocket? No, it's not. You consult with people who will be affected by this before announcing it. You sit down at a table. Here's what you do. It's really simple. Come on, we can do it together. It'll be fun. Sit around the table with people from the industry, people who work there, people, workers and company owners, who, all the stakeholders. Bring them around a big fucking table and say, we are going to bring in mandatory ID. And then let them say, well, here's why it'll be a bad idea. Here's why we don't do it. Blah, 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 blah. Right. Okay, cool. We're taking your things into account. So what we're going to do is we're going to issue an ID that does not need to be mandatory. But if you're from another country and you want to prove that you've got the right to work here, you will need this ID. And everyone around the table goes, that seems fair. Okay, cool. That's our announcement. So we go out the next day and we say, right, we are bringing an ID which anyone can have if they want it, but it's not mandatory. You do not need to get this ID. Okay? You don't need to get it. You don't need to. If you don't want to, you don't have to get this ID. But if you are from another country and you want to prove that you can work here, this will be really helpful. But you don't have to get it. You can just show me your fucking passport with your visa in that says you're allowed to work. Okay? You can do that if you want. We're not going to force anything. We're not going to force anything. But these are available. It's a service that is being offered by the government if you feel like you need an ID. Brilliant. But do they do that? Do they fuck? They come out and go, I'm going to do the stupid fucking thing. And everyone goes, that's a stupid fucking thing. And they go, oh, yeah, okay. In public. It's embarrassing. When you're out, right, and a couple is having a fight. It's even worse, actually, when it's a couple that you know. So you go out for a drink with your mates, and there's a couple, and they're having a fight. And everyone around the table is just feeling really awkward. That's how it feels in this country right now with this fucking Labour government. That's exactly how it feels. Second-hand embarrassment. Why are you arguing? Why are you arguing in front of everyone? You can go home and have an argument there. Do you know what I mean? Like, what is even happening right now? What is happening? Yeah. Ivan, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. There is an everlasting bad legacy from the beaching cuts in the 1960s. Yeah. You're right. But there is something there. There are lines that would cut through the landscape to build those train lines, and although the metal and the sleepers might not be there anymore, 99% of the stuff, it's still there. And I know that some of it's been built on, and I know that you're going to have to compulsory purchase some fucking supermarket or a fucking Amazon warehouse or whatever that was built on the line, but who cares? Like, compared with trying to buy a bunch of fucking houses, but trying to buy an entire fucking village, it's peanuts. It's there. The viaducts are there. The tunnels are there. We are paying every year millions of pounds from our tax money to maintain infrastructure that isn't being used anymore. There's tunnels that need to be checked in case they fucking collapse and the houses above them fucking collapse as well. There's viaducts, there's bridges that need to be maintained. Because even though there's got nothing going underneath it. The bit of road behind Costco in Liverpool on the New Dock Road, that they spent over 10 million fixing this short section of road. And everyone's like, how did you spend 10 million fucking sorting out? Yeah, what was it, about 50 metres? If that 50 metres of road, 100 million, what the fuck? Well, it turns out that stretch of road was actually a bridge. A rusty metal bridge, for which the train line that used to go to Liverpool Riverside Station through the Victoria Tunnel, which isn't the Waterloo and Victoria Tunnel, which isn't used anymore. That is, they need it there. They need it. I mean, the underneath was just full of soil. Like it was mounted up to the. You could just about see the metal at the side. It was all rusted, and they had to take it away. And when they put it back, they didn't just build an embankment and put the tarmac on top of the embankment. No. They had to build a new bridge under which nothing goes. And that's just one example in one place that I know of because it's in Liverpool. And I'm just like, why are we spending all this money on all this, maintaining infrastructure that's not even being used anymore? Because otherwise, if it falls apart, that massive fucking viaduct, the disused viaduct over Merthyr Tydfil, if that falls down, it's going to fucking kill people. It's going to fucking kill. You have to maintain it. Maintain this massive Victorian viaduct. That's completely pointless. Doesn't go anywhere, doesn't do anything. Infuriating does not quite cover it. And we can blame the Tories for a lot of this, right? But these U-turns, can't blame the Tories for that. It's just Labour. They're remarkably shit at this. I'm shocked at how bad Labour are at running the government effectively. They just, I think they're trying to find the pulse of the nation or something, and just missing every time. I don't know why they're so bad at this. Is it me? Am I expecting too much? Am I being over demanding? Is that it? I sound like fucking Prince here in When Doves Cry. I mean, what is going on? What is happening? This seems really, really obvious to me. Does it seem obvious to you? Because if so, how is it not obvious to Labour? The way that you should do things is you consult behind closed doors, you have a discussion. In fact, you don't even need to do it behind closed doors. You could put it out on the internet if you want. We are going today, the government is not proposing anything. Today we're going to talk about digital ID, okay? And we have a meeting. We have webcams there, so all of us politics wonks can watch the meeting if we want, and people discuss it. People put their hand up to speak and say, here's my opinion on it. And we can all take part in that. That would be great, wouldn't it? Bit of democracy in action. And people from the Labour Party or the government can say, we think it'd be best we just make this mandatory for ID cards. And then someone else there can say, I don't think that would work because of whatever. And the government says, okay, there's no vote at the end of it. There's no decision made straight away. The government says, okay, we're taking all your views on board. We're going to take this away and we're going to come up with an announcement in the next couple of weeks. They take it away, look at the legal aspects of it all, how it will all work, and they bring out and they say, right, here's our decision. At the moment, it seems like Morgan McSweeney's making all these fucking decisions. I don't fucking know. Whoever is making these decisions, not fucking consulting anyone, are they? Sorry for swearing so much, Mum. Anyway, Viper Scott, £2 super chat. 4 Dizzers, fix. Confetti fix. Thank you. Thank you so much. Did anyone see Trump yesterday doing his coughing thing? I thought he was going to die. Got excited for a moment. Martin Harrow, thank you very much for the £2. For Diz going weak at the knees. He had many MPs passed off now with the likes of this. Pissed off, you mean? Pissed off? It's abysmal. They get everything wrong. Says the ID thing raised the spectre of being stopped on the street by police. Paper in. Yeah, papers, please. Who are the advisors? Well, it's Morgan McSweeney, I think. I don't know. Polls in Wales show Plaid Cymru has taken the lead. Yes, they have, Sarah. It should be very interesting because Refuck thought they were going to do very well in Wales and they might come second, but which puts Labour down into third, by the way. Labour have always been in control of Wales since the Welsh Assembly was established in 1999. Doesn't look like they're going to win this time. And I'm glad that voters look like they're going to go towards Plaid. which we did the recent elections as well last year, rather than go anywhere near those refucker creeps who, I think our Welsh brothers and sisters are a bit more canny than some people in the UK, in England, sorry. Of course, it's McSweeney, the man's a tit. Says Robot King. I can't argue with that, mate. Martin, there was a lot of concern with making it compulsory and the fear of what a possible reform government could do with it. Yes. Time to get a shouty MP, PM, I think, says Lost Missionary. Yeah, that'd be good. No one's, who are the advisors? Does anyone agree with me that shouldn't be complicated? This should not be complicated, should it? I actually rate Storm. I think he's a generally good egg, but I'm afraid he's listening to the wrong people, says Lost Missionary. Yeah, but he doesn't know how to do this stuff. Like, you don't just announce stuff willy-nilly without doing your due diligence, because it makes you look like an idiot. It makes you look like an idiot. You stride out your house and go, I'm going to build a pub. Are you going to build a pub, are you? Yeah, just there. I'm going to build a pub. And then they come back 6 months later and they go, how's your pub getting on, Graham? Oh, well, I didn't build the pub. You look like a tit. You look like a fantasist. You look like you just make stuff up for attention. Like a compulsive liar. Is it good that an MP, let alone a PM, looks like a fucking compulsive liar? That they keep just lying to us all the time? When Rachel Reeves says, oh, we'll definitely do that Powerhouse Rail. Will they? Will they, Rachel? Because you just scrapped your digital ID card scheme. Your 13th U-turn. Yeah. Just crazy. Just absolutely crazy. We already have passports, driving license, bus passes, and HMRC government gateway. I'm not opposed to digital ID, but I can see why people are. I'm not opposed to digital ID as long as it's not compulsory. It should not be compulsory. There should be other things that you can do. Just like having a passport is not compulsory. Having a driving license is not compulsory. But if you don't have a passport, you don't have a driving license, it can become very difficult to prove you are who you are. A digital ID would be a good way of getting around that, especially if it's really fucking cheap. Especially if it costs like £5 to apply for it. Brilliant. Scans your fucking face, puts it on a fucking card, a virtual card that you can show on your phone. So one of the problems that Phil had when he went to the Labour conference a couple of years ago in Liverpool, he hasn't got a passport. And they were like, no, you need your passport. He's like, I haven't got one. So that was a big fucking faff. So yeah, if you want a government ID, fucking fine, have one. But don't expect everyone to get one. That's just fucking madness. And yeah, we already do have passports. We have passports when people come from other countries on a visa. It'll say that whether they're allowed to work or not on the actual fucking visa itself. They can turn up with their passport. I've always got my passport name in case I need to make a quick getaway. Get your passport out, show them the page with your visa number. And also, yeah, Sarah saying I was afraid that the ID would have sex on birth on it. Yeah, another thing that the trans community obviously was concerned about the way that ID was going to be handled. And as it was mentioned, like, what would refuck do with that? Would they have the refuck fuckers, the ICE fuckers that they're going to bring in? Would they have them going door to door demanding to see people's ID? Tim Nat says, I'm incredibly suspicious of ID. I don't have any ID and I've only asked for it in adult content online. Seems a security nightmare. All the things that need fixing in the UK, and this is the only focus. Tim, yeah, I get that, but I wouldn't say this is the only focus. I think Labour are kind of a little bit all over the shop with this, with all the things that they're trying to focus on all at the same time. Yeah. But needing ID to vote, yeah. Andy saying we never had a voter fraud problem. Well, we've never had a problem with trans people using the toilets. So what was it? Between 2025 and 2022 and 2025, right? Across all institutions across Britain, like the NHS and universities and these places in Britain, right? Governments, it's the civil service, everything. We're talking about places where millions are employed around this country, right? How many complaints were there about trans people using the toilets? 4. Not millions, not thousands, not hundreds, not even dozens. 4. About one a year. About one person a year was someone going, I'm doing this trans person using the toilet. Like a twat. 4. And all of this, we need these safe spaces for women. Sorry, but the girls' bogs in a happy eater is not a safe space for anyone. It's a public fucking place. It's a public place where people can go in. And I think that trans women should be able to use those toilets. I think cisgender men should be able to use those toilets if they've got a baby and the baby needs their nappy changing. You know, I think that if they're out with their little girl and the little girl needs to go to the toilet, I think that the dad or the stepdad should be able to go into the women's toilets with their daughter or stepdaughter so they can go into the cubicle and make sure, you know, no one assaults them, no one attacks them, because you don't fucking know. But no, we're going to make life more difficult for little girls. We've got to make life more difficult for women who don't fit up to the Western white beauty standard of racist gobshites like J.K. Failing. Like, these people, they don't live in the real world, and why would you if you're a billionaire? And poor old Graham Linehan. Oh, me wife left me kids don't speak to me. Keep drinking, Graham. Does you good. Ivan, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. It shouldn't be compulsory, and there should be an option for a physical card or a digital one. Yeah, absolutely. I'm all for it. I might even get one myself. Do you know what I mean? Like, it'd be fucking handy. If I go out to the, where in Liverpool, there's a place called the Heebie-Jeebies, right? And a few years ago, quite a long time ago now, there was a stabbing there in this particular place, right? And ever since then, to keep their license, they have mandatory ID checks on the way in. You have to have a driving license or a passport, and it needs to be scanned, and your face needs to be photographed on the way into this bar, right, in Liverpool. Because that's the, you know, it's a bit like when someone's been done for speeding, and then they have to have a black box on the car to make sure they don't go over the speed limit, right? Same sort of idea. You've had a stabbing in your place, which is weird because the Heebie-Jeebies wasn't like it's an indie place. It's not one of those American Psycho places like the Living Room was. It's owned by, well, it was owned by the same people who owned the Jacaranda. Very much the same sort of vibes. The interior decoration was all done by our mates who you know design shit in Liverpool, along with the front cover of the Arctic Monkeys album, their first album, Everything You Say I Am, That's What I'm Not. There's an exhibition about that at Liverpool's. What is it? Is it the music experience in Liverpool? There's an exhibition which would be worth going to. I feel. I'm not against ID in general, but I'm annoyed as hell. A lot of basic things are now behind ID. It's heavy-handed because of the Stupid Safety Act. I'm more likely to use a VPN now, says Nick and Diff. Yeah, but the idea is with the VPN, yeah, you can use a VPN, but you have to pay for a VPN. And to do that, you'll need a direct debit on your account to say that you've got a VPN. And most children, even if they've got bank accounts, I don't know if they're allowed direct debits, but if they are, their parents generally keep an eye on what's going in and out of their account. And they can see that there's 15 quid going off a month to fucking, I don't know, Surfshark or Nord VPN or something, then it's going to be a bit obvious that they're using a VPN. Arguably the worst thing about Linehan is that he's done all this because he couldn't handle people saying that an episode of the comedy show was tasteless. Crazy, he's burnt everything down for that. Robot King, there's a little bit more to it. There is a little bit more to it from friends of friends who know him and know his wife and what actually went on. But yeah, it is his mad obsession with trans people that has ruined his life. Absolutely ruined his life. You know, you could just be full of peace and love and harmony and have a great time, like Pablo Pascal. Plus, it's hard to distinguish between an OAP bus pass and a mobility one. Both don't have a date of birth on them, says Sheffield Steve. Well, that's the thing as well. Like, so my passport doesn't have my address on it. There's nowhere to put your address on your passport. So it's useless as ID to prove where you live. You got to send up with a fucking utility bill. Who gets utility bills still posted to their house anymore? It's all digital. It's all online. So how the fuck do you prove where you live if you haven't got a driving license? And if you have got a driving license, what if it's registered at someone else's house? Like where you used to live or you know, your parents or something. And you don't actually live there anymore. But I don't know. You have to get a new fucking driving license. It's madness. Absolute fucking madness. Ivan, thank you very much for the £10 super chat, as well as the lack of consulting the public on ID. Once again, this is yet another area where we as Labour Party members have been shut out of contributing to discussions. Yeah, everyone has, mate. Everyone has. I think even the fucking cabinet have been shut out of discussions. I think Starmer just stands up and goes, "This is what Morgan's told me to say today." So Labour, come here, dickheads, right? Labour, come here. Let me whisper something into your little fucking shell like, all right? Listen. Stop making announcements! Stop it! Stop making fucking announcements! Stop it! Jesus Christ. You're absolutely making yourselves like the most bloody incompetent bunch of baboons that have ever fucking jumped down from a fucking rubber tree. I mean, what the fuck are they doing? What are they fucking doing? Anyway, right, come on. Let's get back onto the newspapers. And there's a story here about one of the Bulger killers. I think it's Venables getting. He's up for parole. Honestly, I hope he never gets out. We've got the Northern Powerhouse Pledge, which is what my main story was today. The rail deal. Oh, I see, because it's like the real deal, but they've changed it to that. Doesn't really work. That doesn't really work. Do you know what I mean? You know, like changing Islington to Gislington or Kentish Town to Cuntish Town. That works. The rail deal, it doesn't. It's not close enough. It just doesn't. Anyway, Northern Powerhouse Rail will finally deliver real change. Deliver. Have I got a deliver thing? I have actually. Look at this. Deliver. Oh, it's all white. That's no good. Let's say delivering. There you go. It's got a bit of shading on it. Come on. Play, you bastard. Oh, yeah. Make me look bad. There you go. Delivering. Northern Powerhouse Rail will finally deliver real change for millions in the north of England, Keir Starmer has announced today. 45 billion plan for new lines and infrastructure. PM says millions will benefit as he promises an end to train misery. 45 billion pound programme delayed several times by the Tories over more than a decade will include new lines to Manchester and upgrades to services in West Yorkshire. Mr. Starmer said people have been let down by broken promises. The government is rolling up its sleeves to deliver change. Deliver. There's two delivers in that little paragraph there. They managed to fit in. 2 delivers. Stand and deliver. Your money, your life. Maybe I should do that. Maybe I should have a little pop-up of adamant that comes up and it'll say stand and deliver every time they say deliver. Treasury new business rates will double for thousands of pubs. More than 5,000 pubs have had their business rates doubled, and the Treasury was kept informed about the scale of the increases before the budget. MPs have been told. That is not good, but again, we will talk about whether we can regard these pubs as a public good, and if we do, and we regard them as the heart of a community, then we should be giving them some kind of support. I do believe that, but if they are just a business making money out of lonely people like Weatherspoons, then no. So I think it should be on a case-by-case basis. I really do. Make your case for being a hub of the community, and we will give you all the fucking tax benefits you can eat. We'll give you even better tax benefits than we give to tax exemptions than we give to private schools. Wouldn't that be nice? Which aren't a core of any community. They actually tear communities apart. Here we go. A new Starmer U-turn over compulsory digital IDs. Again, another scheme is government's 13th abandoned policy. Help is on its way. Trump promises Iran protesters. And just to go back to the ID thing, it's not a U-turn. Again, I keep saying this, it's not an actual U-turn. They have just watered it down, right? They haven't said, we're not going to do it. We're just not going to make it compulsory. That is it. They could have worked that out before announcing it and said, right, we're going to make an ID card. You don't have to have it, but if you want to have it, you can. Elderly living in poverty could exceed 2 million. The total number of older people living in poverty risks going over 2 million. Claim campaigners, which doesn't surprise me because 1 in 5 pensioners live in poverty, whereas 1 in 4 pensioners are millionaires. And so, we really need to address this issue where the vast majority of the country's wealth is locked up in old people who have some of them, not all of them, who have more than they need in life. They've paid off their mortgage. They don't need to be earning that much a week for doing nothing. The rest of us, we can't pay off our student loans. Big scandal at the moment about student loans, about the fact that if you got a student loan between 2012 was it, and 2022, where the Tories are in charge, essentially, unless you're earning £66,000 a year, you'll never ever pay off the loan in your life because the interest repayments are so high that effectively you will just pay off a little bit of the interest each month and never pay off any of the capital. Great. What a great system. Unless you're dead rich And then Mammy and Daddy, Mater and Peter, Mater and Peter paid off my student loan on the first day. So I ended up only having to pay, the actual capital cost. My working class friends, they're going to pay for it for the rest of their lives. 61% tax. It is altogether if you're a student graduate. Absolutely fucking crazy. Back off. Emily's weight is her own business, says Vanessa Feltz. I don't know who that is, but okay. DNA tests revealed the dark truth about my father. He was Hitler. When did British beef get so expensive? When Brexit happened, mate. When the Brexit that the Daily Telegraph wanted so much, that happened. Trump, help is on the way. So there's horrific things going on in Iran. We were going to talk about this in Geoscope last night. Thousands of protesters being shot dead. There's going to be executions today. It's really fucking grim. And as I said on Monday on the show, Trump's intervention is probably not going to help. It's probably going to make things demonstrably worse for the people in Iran. Well, we shall see. I'd like to be pleasantly or unpleasantly surprised, and it actually fucking, whatever the planning actually fucking works. But whether it will or not is, I don't know. If they can do a targeted attack and take out the Ayatollah, that could change things, couldn't it? Nice to see people who care about Ren more than me. This is why I'm suicidal and getting attacked by the police, because trans folks with meds and support get help and I don't, and I'm extremely tired about this. I mean, trans folks with med and support get help. I'm sorry, Jonathan, that you're going through a bad time at the moment, but don't take it out on trans people. They're going through absolute shit at the moment. I've got several trans friends who are leaving the country, actually having to leave the country, because if they stayed here, they will kill themselves. It's as simple as that. But yeah, I don't think that trans people are having a great time of it right now. I really don't. But yeah, I'm sorry to hear that you're not having a great time of it either. And please, the number for the Samaritans is in the description of this video. Please ring them up, have a chat, and get some help, get some support, get what you need. It is out there. I know it's harder than it should be to get it, but it is available. Yeah, we're all going through. We're all going through what we're going through, and no one else can ever really understand what's going on in our own minds. Yeah, I hope you can get the support that you need. But it's not a zero-sum game. Just because some group is getting some support doesn't mean that others aren't or shouldn't. I think the support should be across the board here. Back to the papers. Like I say, Trump helps on the way. White House deeply concerned about secret China embassy plan. Apparently, there's some important internet cables that they'll be able to tap into along one wall of the new embassy they're building. Well, they're not even building it. They're repurposing the Royal Mint to be the Chinese embassy. Maccabee Rao police chief could cling on. Yes, because he should, because he did nothing wrong. Lawrence of Arabia portraits get warning. What about Lawrence of Arabia not being a very nice person? Maybe, because you want to just contextualize it. It's fine. You can argue he did some good stuff, fighting the Germans, not the Nazis, the Germans in World War One. And fighting against the Ottoman Empire, which didn't treat its citizens very well. It really didn't. But then the way they carved up him and Churchill and the others carved up the Middle East after World War One, after the fall of the Ottoman Empire, the way they carved it up was just it sowed the seeds for all the issues that we see at the moment in the Middle East. Business says crisis hit water bosses say bills have to rise and mansion tax could affect 1.5 million pound homes. Yes, not 1.5 million homes, 1.5 million pound homes. Yeah, good. What's your problem? Why does a mansion in next door to bloody Buckingham Palace pay less council tax than a single mum living in a terrace street around here in County Durham? Explain that. Explain it to me. Explain it to me like I'm an idiot, please. Then we've got a free National Trust pass. That's nice. And we've got Arctic Troll. President posts picture of him gazing at Greenland. Anyway, join the revolution. Trump urges Iranians, and Labour promises new rail links for the north, but not until the 2030s. honestly, I don't know why. I don't know why this is. I don't know why this takes so long. I mean, all things being equal, right? Labour thought they were going to be in for 10 years minimum after the state of the Tories, after them going down to 121 MPs. They thought, like, this is it. No matter how badly we fuck up in the next few years, we're still going to look better than the Tories. And so, although we won't win with a huge majority in 2029, we still will win. But then refuck came along, and I completely fucking threw some grit in the Vaseline, and also Labour just being shit. Labour have been incredibly shit, and I say this as a Labour member. I am just staggered at how shit they are at this. This is like your favourite film director making a shit film, and you're like going, how can you put your name to this? How can you put your name to something when you've made something so good in the past, and now you're allowed to make another movie, and you just make this is it. This is it. What the hell are you doing, Francis Ford Coppola? Mentioning no names apart from Francis Ford Coppola. Anyway, Lawrence fought the Turks. Yes, he did. In this chat, yeah, but the Turks and the Germans were on the same side in World War One. They had an alliance. So we weren't just fighting the German Empire, we were fighting the Ottoman Empire at the same time. ITV News said it would be the 2040s for HS2, so Sheffield Steve, yeah. I mean, we're all going to be fucking dead by the time this fucking railway line has a fucking passenger on it. Graham, they're also trying to do lots of good things. Yeah, they are trying. But they are failing at so many basic things, like don't announce stuff until you're absolutely sure that that's the right thing to do. The 13th U-turn, that's all people are going to take away, because most people aren't as interested in politics as we are, right? You're watching a politics channel, I'm embedded in politics. I've got a degree in history and politics. Like, I care about politics, care about what's going on in the world. Most people just get on with their lives. The vast majority of people are just getting on with their lives. And all they see is 13th U-turn makes the government look indecisive and weak. And I do not want, in any situation, a leader who is indecisive and weak. And it makes Starmer look indecisive and weak. And no amount of spin can get them out of this situation they're in at the moment. Starmer has to go at some point. And like I say, should just fucking load him up like a sacrificial mule, load him up with all of Labour's problems, all of Labour's mistakes, and then just cast him into the desert and blame everything on him. That's what the Tories do. Every time they get a new leader. Oh, it was all David Cameron's fault. Oh, it was all Theresa May's fault. Oh, it was all Boris Johnson's fault. Oh, it was all Liz Truss's fault. Nothing to do with me. Help is on its way. Oh, fuck off. Help is on its way, Trump tells Iranians. White House sends strongest signal yet of possible military intervention. Protesters encouraged to take over institutions and save names of killers. Defiant Tehran ready to face attack, and says dialogue with US still open. We get killed if we go out. This is a dispatch from Tehran. Donald Trump has said help is on the way for protesters in Iran as he urged them to take over the country's institutions. You see, when they protest against what their government, that's all right. But when Americans protest against what their government's doing, they get shot in the face by Americans. The big story that I was covering today, which is only a little story here, but here we go. HS2 confirmed as world's most expensive railway. HS2 is on track to win the prize, the most expensive rail line in the world, despite it having little more to contend with than undulating green hills. It meets the new Lyon to Turin route that will traverse the Alps through the longest rail tunnel ever constructed at 57.5 kilometres. Using HS2's latest estimate of 80 billion in 2024 prices, the projected cost comes out at £537 million per kilometre. Over £500 million per kilometre. Lavish ambition, bespoke architecture, and reliance on contractors have added up. Absolute fucking madness. They should have built it in modules. They should have built it from the north first. They should have not got, private enterprise to do this. It should have been a national project. They shouldn't have done it at once. It should have all just been like little bits done, getting the, and then eventually you've got the line completed and you're like, woohoo, do the easy bits first. maybe don't go through some posh bits of the south where all the people who live there have got loads of money to take you to court to fine you for wanting to make Britain better. Viper Scott, thank you very much for the £2 super chat. Anyone needing hugs, here you go. Oh, hugs for everyone. The problem with Labour is they're mostly new or recent MPs and the government has inexperienced ministers. George only, you could say that about Labour in 1997. In fact, in Labour in 1997, they haven't been out of office for 14 years. They've been out of office for 16 years. 18 years. They've been out of office for 18 years. And yet they hit the ground running. They really did. I mean, looking back, I was annoyed at Labour for the first few years of their from 1997 because I felt like they weren't doing enough. Now it looks like they were going at breakneck speed. They're going at fucking warp speed. But yeah, there you go. So we've got a story here. VC firm Balderden lands £1 billion jackpot with £1 million gamble on Revolut. London-based Balderden Capital has cashed out roughly £2 billion on its Revolut stake in the past year, cementing the place of its early £1 million investment in the fintech as one of the most lucrative bets in European venture capital history. Wow. Imagine spending £1 million making a movie and it takes $2 billion at the box office. That's some bang for your buck, innit? He needs to see it ASAP, says Mr. Tusk. What? I'm sitting down. It's okay. I don't need... Oh, you're talking about Andy Burnham. Andy Burnham's not currently an MP. He's not. I don't need the Samaritans, as they call the police on me. Everyone calls the police on me. Jonathan, I'm sorry about that. I've had someone very close to me in a similar situation where in this country they think that there's an issue that needs to be looked at. Someone who needs help immediately. We don't have an institution that exists to help that person in a way that they should be helped. And if people are in the way that you say you are, the only institution we've got at the moment to actually try and deal with that situation is the police. And I think we could all, I think that we should work on changing that. So there is some rapid response for some, of some description that can come and help when you're feeling like this. But when you ring the Samaritans, you can ring them anonymously. Don't give them your name. I can't see how they can call the police on you. Graham, I had a previous super chat, unless I missed your response, says Ivan. Did you, Ivan? I'm very sorry for that. Oh, yes, you did. Thank you, Ivan. Oh, my God, I can't believe you had to spend another £5 to tell me that I missed your £5. I'm sorry, Ivan. I'm sorry. Darren Jones has already said in the clearest terms that government is making way too many announcements. Yep. Zip it up. Stop talking. Stop. It's as though they feel like they've got to make an announcement every day. And it's like, okay, but you don't have to make a commitment. So you just go, well, look at that ID. You don't have to say we're going to bring in mandatory ID. Say, look at ID. Because we think that it'll be useful for people. We're trying to help. But, anything that Starmer says, I'll give you an example here. This was written to me by Mike this morning. This is his Starmer impression. Well, hang on. Let's get our friend. Where's Starmer? Where he is? There he is. Let's get Starmer. Right. Well, we're considering the data and the facts, and will propose and evaluate some key objectives that will, in time, define the response, which will be succinct and to the point in due course. I think that's quite a good Starmer impression, to be honest with you. I mean, I can't nail the voice, but seriously. Anyway, got some better news for you. Viper Scott's just dropped £2 in the Super Chat Fund, which means we've done it. We have made it to the point of the show where we can officially release the confetti. Yeah, confetti. Peter M, thank you very much. There you go, says Peter M. Thank you, Peter, as well. Thank you, Ivan. Thank you, Alistair. Very, very kind of you. to do that. So yes. Okay, so we're going to move on to the papers again. Back to the paper. Back to the fucking papers. I fell in love with him on the spot. Alan Rickman remembered. Another great celeb who we lost. Did we lose him in 2016? Was he one of the 2016ers who we lost? I'm Alan Rickman, and I always talk without moving my teeth. Help is on its way. Trump calls on Iran's protesters to remain defiant. Northern Powerhouse Rail gets £45 billion backing. Doubts cast on the extent of microplastics in humans. High-profile studies reporting the presence of microplastics throughout the human body have been thrown into doubt by scientists who say the discoveries are probably the result of contamination and false positives, with one chemist calling the concerns a bombshell. Ooh, well, maybe we're not full of plastic. I know some celebs are, though. I've seen them. They are made of plastic, and it's not fantastic. Russian captain did nothing to avoid US tanker. Skipper alone on watch as ship headed for disaster. Jury told collision that killed the sailor was obvious for more than 30 minutes. This is to do with the North Sea catastrophe where two ships collided with each other. Well, actually, it was one ship. It was the Russian ship that hit another ship that was at anchor, which should never, ever happen on a clear day. You know, it wasn't like it was a storm or fog or anything. But there you go. There you go. Oh, the confetti went off again. Sorry for setting off the confetti cannon there. That was a mistake. Shouldn't have done that. And then finally, the Independent there. Just help is on its way. We will see. We will see. So who else have we got in the chat here? I just hope when Trump finally shuffles off, says Sheffield Steve. Radio 4 commission an episode of Old Harry's Game where Trump arrives in hell. Can't wait to hear what Andy Hamilton might have in store. Simon says, did Owen Jones make that announcement about Labour making too many announcements and an announcement on social media announcements? Probably. Probably. I have an announcement to make! There's too many announcements! That's like some of a Monty Python, isn't it? Jonathan says, I'm on a ball with an order to stay away from Labour MPs. I'm legally not allowed to have help from MP because I asked those cunts for help. I'm so fucking mad at Labour. Sorry, Jonathan. I mean, again, it's like we have a endemic system in this country that just doesn't help in the way that it should. We could have a system that helps if we work together, if all of us, like, you know, shoulder to the fucking metal and helped each other out. But for my lifetime, since 1979, we have had successive governments who don't seem to believe in society. We don't believe in community and helping each other out and having somewhere we can go when we're feeling low, when we want to, you know, hang out with other humans. Apparently, that's just only that's again with a lot of other things like getting help, going on holiday, living in another country, falling in love with someone from another country. It seems to be the preserve of the super rich in this country and everyone else, because it's not enough for them to win. Everyone else has to lose. That should be the motto, shouldn't it? The 21st century. It's not enough for these fuckers to win. Everyone else needs to lose. So there you go. Jonathan saying, plus Ren always blocks me, ignores me, or just generally rude to me. After 3 years of this shit, I should continue to be nice to her. Jesus Christ. Sorry, Jonathan. I've not known that you were getting blocked. I didn't know that Gallifreyan Ren is a mod. Is Gallifreyan Ren a mod? Okay. But yeah, one of the rules that we have on this channel is you can't be horrible to each other. So if you're individually singling somebody out and being horrible to them or about them, that includes me, then yeah, people do get kicked off because there's other places on the internet to go if you just want to be mean to people. And a lot of us here, we want to keep this as a safe space for our own mental health, because there's so many places on the internet that are so dark and twisted and wrong and horrible and not welcoming in any way, shape or form. I don't want to be part of that. And, you know, people who do want to be part of that, there's a million options. There's a million places you can go. Do you know what the second most downloaded app is at the moment in the UK? Do you know what it is on mobile phones? It's Grok. It's fucking Grok. So these sickos can make images of children who are half naked with cigarette burns all over their body, with knives plunged into their bodies. That's what people want to do in this country. Every fucker who has downloaded a copy of Grok in the last 2 weeks after seeing what you can do with it, they should be reported to child services. I think it should be reported to the police. Reform are not the answer. Yes. Well, reform is the answer to the question, What would it be like if we had a new Tory party that was run by exactly the same people who had the Tories, but they were somehow worse? Yeah. Anyone considering voting for Deform must have been kicked by the same horse that caller on Farage's LBC opponent when the Berg voted Brexit. No, it was a joke. It was a joke, wasn't it? They said I voted Brexit, and they said, "Well, something happened to me, and it made me realise that you speak complete sense, and Brexit's a great idea." And it turned out they were kicked in there by a horse. Yeah. Jonathan says, I'm voting Reform and contacting Reform to get help. Reform is better than Labour to me. That's not good. Reform are better. I'm sorry, Jonathan. Reform want me dead. They want half the people watching this dead. They don't give a fuck about anybody. Like, let me tell you a story, right? There was a guy who was a pilot of a plane. He was a plane crash with Nigel Farage, right? While the investigation into the plane crash was going on, he couldn't continue his business. He saved Nigel Farage's life, a multi-millionaire living off the EU gravy train that he railed against. He saved this guy's life, Farage, and the pilot couldn't work. And he got depressed, seriously depressed. And as a result of not being able to work. Not only did Nigel Farage not help him out financially with his business, he didn't help him out by paying for some therapy that the guy clearly needed. And the guy was like hassling Farage for help. Clearly, Farage took him to court, put a restraining order on him, and the guy killed himself. And no one talks about this. That's the amount of support that you'll get off Refuck. They do not give a fuck about you. They don't give a fuck about me. They don't give a fuck about anyone. But the only thing they give a fuck about is their own bank balances and making shitloads of money by spreading misinformation. There was there was a thing yesterday about the top what Grok thinks is the top 10 misinformation spreaders on the internet, and all of them are Refuck. All of them, all 10 British misinformation spreaders. It was Tommy Robinson, Nigel Farage, Darren Grimes, all those right-wing motherfuckers. Ivan, thank you very much for the £10 super chat. Graham, you know about my DWP battle following 9 months of distress and the mandatory reconsideration process, and I've got to decide whether I can cope with another possible 9 months of heartache appealing it. Yeah, Ivan, I got your message about that. I think I did respond, and I'm so sorry, mate. It's fucking disgusting. DWP fuck up. They make a mistake. So for those of you who don't know the background of this, there's a lot of cases where the DWP gives people too much money, right? It's not a lot of money. It's not like they give people a big novelty check for £5 million or anything, but they overpay. And then months later, sometimes years later, they'll turn up and say, we need that money back. And people are like, but I've spent it. I thought that was what I was going to get off you. And no. You know, because when most people, they grow to the size of their budget. You know, if you know that you're getting X amount each week, then you live your life according to knowing that you're going to get that amount of money, whether it's a paycheck, whether it's DWP support, whatever it is. You live to your means. That's what most people do. I mean, obviously, credit card debt is because people want to live beyond their means, and you know, it's financially lucrative for companies and credit card companies to make money out of that fact. But yeah, most people live within their means, and if you give them more means, they'll live, you know, whatever it is. It's maddening to think that like people who are on benefits, people who are on support from the government, should be putting some money aside just in case they've made a mistake somewhere down the line. I mean, yeah. So Ivan's got this problem now where he can either go for another 9+ months of fighting with these dickheads to tell them to fuck off, or whether just to say, I can't be arsed with the mental stress that it will cause me to go through this and end up, you know, paying the money. A fine for doing nothing wrong, for doing absolutely nothing wrong. Here you go, have a fine. Here you go. It's going to cost you money, that. I've talked before about how in this country you get a fine for everything, don't you? You get a fine for, breathing in the wrong fucking place. We also get fines for things that aren't our fault. We get fined for things where we couldn't possibly have known what was going to happen, and yet we get a fine for it. I mean, the big example for me is when a parent gets dementia. If your parent gets cancer, they get all everything paid for. You don't have to pay for the going through the chemotherapy, the radiotherapy, the immunotherapy, all the drugs, all the procedures, all the operations. You don't have to pay for that yourself. That's all on the NHS. And if you end up going to a hospice, that's paid by the NHS. Whereas if you get dementia and you need carers coming 4 times a day because you can't do anything yourself, you have to be cleaned every day. When you've got you've got to pay for it unless you're on end of life care, and it's £2,000 a week, £2,000 fine for you getting the wrong kind of ailment as an old person. Do you know what I mean? Like, how is that fair? Dementia tax through no fault of your own. Gallifreyman, I may have spoken in anger on Discord, in which case I apologise. I have a hair trigger, temper, and a lot of bad days with my health. I won't apologise for refusing to answer the constant attacks, says Gallifreyman. Fair enough. Yeah, can we keep it can we keep it sort of cordial in the chat? Don't want people screaming at each other and stuff. And I don't want a chat here. I don't want a channel, and I don't want a Discord server where people are at each other's throats. If you if you are being, I don't mind people not agreeing about political stuff, but I don't want any insults. I don't want any kind of like making people feel bad for who they are. I won't tolerate that. Those in charge of DWP ought to consider whether they'll pony up the full retail cost of an item they bought, normally costing £199, but erroneously listed as £99. Yeah. Yes, indeed. Scott, good news, mate. What? Scott's good news? I can't see Scott's good news. Maybe it's in the other chat. Maybe it's in the live chat. Let's go and have a look at the live chat. And Diz says, Jonathan, you need to find some help. Maybe your GP. Yeah. If you need the support, just from personal experience, going on the internet, going on social media, even watching these kind of videos, it's not going to help. It's really, if anything, it's going to make things worse. If I could ever give any advice to anyone who's suffering mentally at the moment through anything really, take some time off. Take some time off the internet. Take some time off social media. Take some time away from the news, because it's not doing your mental health any good at all. And I've got friends, I've got very close people to me who do this, as a matter of routine. If it's all getting a bit too much, then they step away, because this isn't a medical forum. It's not a therapeutic forum. It's not something that we've put together to necessarily help people with mental health disorders, mental health issues and problems. Like I say, the number for the Samaritans is there, and then there's the possibility of talking to a GP, but I'm not a professional in any of this stuff. I'm not the person to ask. I don't know if I'm going to say the right thing. I don't know if I'm going to make a bad situation worse. So I'm sorry. I'm really sorry that you're in this situation, and I really genuinely wish you all the best, and hope that you can find a way out that makes you feel empowered over your own life and allows you to be treated with the respect and the dignity that you feel like you deserve. I really do. And I'm sorry. I'm just sorry things are really shit at the moment. They're not going to get better by voting in right-wing people who basically, like Nigel Farage, who's happy to see someone who saved his life kill themselves rather than help them. Because that's what Nigel Farage is like. He doesn't give a flying fuck. He does not. And Reform is just a cult that is built around Nigel Farage. As soon as he dies or leaves or whatever, moves on to his next fucking grift, the Refuck will die. Like UKIP died. Like UKIP, is he even there anymore? Is anyone still UKIPing? Don't think so, because Nigel Farage left. If he had stayed part of UKIP, the big party that we'd be worrying about at the moment would be UKIP. But I have friends who are having panic attacks now, full-on panic attacks at the idea that Farage will win in 2029. And yeah, if you want to talk about mental health and its effect on people, the effect of a MAGA movement coming over here and mothers being shot dead in the face in their car with these tech bros stealing absolutely everything, stealing your data, stealing your dignity, stealing everything that you own. A world in which we'll never, ever own anything. We'll only rent it off Netflix. We'll only rent songs off Taylor Swift. We'll only rent off Spotify. You'll never, ever have a house. You'll never, ever have a car. Everything is just monthly rental. No computer programs, no computer games, nothing. Everything's a monthly rental. And at the end of your life, you look back on all the things you own and there'll be nothing there. Because you can't own anything anymore. It's all being rented. And they can take it away whenever they want to create manufactured scarcity. I would say if you could get referred to a social worker, mental health, that'd be better than a counsellor, in my opinion. They help me a lot, but counsellors say nout to you for weeks didn't help me. Yeah, and Sheffield Steve makes a good point there. And also, like politicians, it's not their job. I know it sounds harsh, but you can complain to a politician about what you're going through in terms of your mental health, but they're not a qualified therapist. They're not a psychiatrist. They're not a psychologist. They're not a doctor. They're not a GP. I know they have surgeries, but it's not quite the same thing. But they're not the right people to talk to about this. Most MPs are doing their own fucking thing. There you go. But you can't take it with you anyway. Yeah, I know. Daylight. I know. It'd be nice to have something, wouldn't it? I don't know, a snow globe to hold on to that you can drop when you cark it. Only clocks that don't sort themselves out, the microwave one and the cooker one. I pick my topics and subjects as a key factor in deciding when I engage, says Ivan. Yeah, and that's a great way of doing it. That means you have some of that engagement, but not to the level that it's actually impacting your mental health in a negative way. And I know you, Ivan. I know you personally, so I know that if there is something that I'm talking about or an issue that I'm picking up on, I mean, I think trains is a bit of a neutral area in this sort of thing. But where if it is getting a bit too much for you, you'll tune out. You'll go and do something else, which is fine. I mean, and that's not a diss on you. That's not a diss on this channel. It's not a diss on our friendship. It's just that's what's best for you in this circumstance, and I have no problem with it whatsoever. And in fact, I often encourage, and I do encourage other people watching this channel, if the news is getting a bit too much, if it is getting a bit too like walls closing in, please stop watching, and please take time to look after yourself and look after what's important, because the analogy I always use, you've got to put the mask on yourself before you put it on the person next to you. And if you're not in a situation that you can't help yourself, you can't hope to help anyone else. And Ivan has shown that just one person could do great things. Because of Ivan, the government now has a policy that if we ever have a pandemic ever again, the needs of autistic people are taken into account, and people with other mental health issues or other ways of being. It needs to be taken into account, and he did that. Ivan did that, and that's fucking amazing. That's absolutely incredible. So yeah, pick your battles, and when it comes to sort of getting support off politicians, I just they don't have any fucking clue about pastoral care. They don't necessarily, it's not their remit. And did we get a troll? Right? Did the troll turn up? Thank you for getting rid of the troll. Bye, idiot troll. It's good now, because whoever that was, who was it? Heidi. Okay, hi Heidi. They can continue watching this, but they can no longer comment. They're like a eunuch at an orgy. Enjoy. Anyway, I respect anyone who comes on here and expresses their anguish, says Billy. Yeah. Our mods are the quickest draws in the West. Indeed. So yeah, a Maltese cross and spears of Malawi are very British. Regards the new UKIP logo. Yeah, the new UKIP logo. Have you seen it? Oh my God. In the top right corner, it does look a little bit like a lady's privates, shall we say? It's like, what the fuck is this? But the rest of it looks like an iron cross from, the Nazis. The Nazis. Sheffield Street, for Ivan, see your GP made to see if they can refer to a social worker for support. My GP, when I started with depression, referred me. They were really helpful. Take care of yourself, 100%. Yeah. I mean, there's lots of good advice coming in in the chat here, and this is advice that is given with love and given with wanting people to be the best they can be, and people to be content and happy, and not feel like they have the weight of the world on their shoulders, which I know a lot of us do right now because of the shit that's going down. But I'll tell you now, the solution to all this shit is not more of this shit. It's not more of this backbiting and nastiness and name calling. The solution to the problems that we face right now in our lives around the world is community. It's people coming together and building stuff. Instead of feeling unempowered, a community makes people feel listened to, makes them feel part of something. There's this very, very basic human need to feel listened to feel like you matter. And everything that society does at the moment, it seems to be on this crazed, psychotic journey, this mission to make people feel like they don't matter. But here's the thing, everyone matters. Everyone matters. Although, yeah, there are 6 billion people in the fucking world. It doesn't matter. There's loads more snowflakes. There's loads more fucking stars out there. Each one is special and unique. There's 100 billion stars in just our fucking galaxy. I mean, come on. But each one is a fucking star. Possibly capable of maintaining life on an orbiting planet. And on that planet, there might be billions of different types of life forms. And different life forms. A diamond's still a diamond. Even there might be a few of them. They're still, incredibly special. And people don't get told that enough. People don't get told how amazing it is that they're here. Thank you for making it. Thank you for being here. Thank you for joining the journey of life for just a few short years. That's all we get. We're here for a good time, not a long time. Although, the rich don't want us to have a good time, clearly. But yeah, just when Mark Twain, Samuel Clemens, was asked about whether he was scared of dying, he said, no, I was dead for billions of years before I was born. And it wasn't too inconvenient. And that's it, really. I mean, it's just like there's the void. And then there's this brief spark of life that we have. And it's incredible and unique and amazing. And the powers that be, especially the rich people who, for them, it's not enough for them to win. Everyone else has to lose. Don't want you to feel like an individual. Don't want you to feel like special and unique. They want you to feel like you're worthless. You don't matter. But here's the thing: everyone matters. Absolutely, everyone matters. And the sooner that we create our communities around that fact and build our politics around that fact, the better off we're going to be. The bots are generally, but it's such bullshit they spout, says Diz. Yeah. I have a fantastic GP and psychiatrist, although I had to go private for my psychiatrist thanks to the Tories, and they both said they will provide evidence if I appeal. So you have got that support there, Ivan, which is fantastic. So you wouldn't be, if you do decide to go and challenge this, you will have that support behind you, which is fantastic. People that have a dig at anyone who goes through depression clearly haven't gone through it. 100% wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy, as they say, says Sheffield Steve. Yeah, couldn't agree more, mate. Couldn't agree more. Rich, yeah, you can always tell, can't you? Someone who's never gone through mental health issues themselves, and never had a loved one who's gone through mental health issues. And do you know what? When I say never had a loved one who's gone through they may have never had a loved one. When you see these refuckers and UKIPers and stuff, and these very posh, privately educated gobshites on TV, it's 99% of the people you see on TV, saying things like, "Oh well, you just get over it. You just got to cheer yourself up. You just got to pull yourself up by your bootstraps." And all these people who are getting time off work for mental health problems. I mean, just cheer up, lads. They've either never gone through any kind of mental health problems themselves, or and they've never ever loved anyone who's gone through a mental health issue. Now, I don't believe that there's anyone on this planet who's some friend or family member or someone in their life has not had mental health issues at some point in their life. The point is the love bit. These people don't love anyone because they're fucking sociopaths. They're incapable of love. So they just cannot, they have an absolute lack of love, and also they have no empathy. And if there is a deficit of anything in the world right now, it is empathy. And you see psychopathic motherfuckers like Elon Musk, the richest man in the world, going on a podcast and saying the biggest problem in the world right now is empathy. There's too much empathy. And I'm sitting there going, too much. Too much empathy. You think there's too... All right, mate. All right. If you say so. My mental health issues, it is as debilitating as a physical illness. Yeah, Sarah. Yeah. And I think that enough people understand that. But unfortunately, the people at the megaphones, the people who run the newspapers, the people who get to go on TV and go on the radio shows, and look at LBC. Like, what is it? 67% of the presenters on LBC, full-time presenters, went to private school. 67%. That's just mind-blowing. It's absolutely mind-blowing. Another Brexit benefit has just been announced. Italy has immediately mandatory state-imposed fee of €2 on all orders under €150 effective immediately. As a third country, this will apply to all of our orders. Oh, for fuck's sake. Yay! I'm still living and hope one day people will have that Tom Hanks moment in The Burbs. We're the lunatics. That's a really bad man who says things like that. Yeah. French onion soup, chunk of baguette, French butter in equal proportion to bread. I want it now. No, I want it, Lost Missionary. No, that sounds amazing. Oh. Okay, yeah, but I agree that, like, we really need some better people who are put in these positions. The people who are on the internet, people who are on the TV, who get these large platforms. The guy from Diary of a CEO, he's a multi-millionaire, he's on Dragon's Den, and he's sitting there going, the government should intervene with these people who aren't having sex. What, by, I don't know, banning Andrew Tate? No. What we're going to do is we're going to mandate women have sex with men that they don't want to have sex with, because otherwise those men won't be able to pass on their genes. What the fuck? So that happened. But yeah, not enough empathy in the world. There's still too much empathy for Musk. Yes. Yeah, but Musk is a sociopath. He's an evil man. He is just a really fucked up individual. He was probably abused as a child. Going off his father, who is a monster, of his father who married his own stepdaughter, who he looked after from the age of 3. Yeah, that is particularly concerning. Anyway, it is Wednesday, and it is 11 o'clock. So I'm going to fuck off now, because in 1 hour's time, we have got Prime Minister's questions. So I'll see you in 1 hour's time here on this same BAT channel, different BAT time, 12 o'clock for PMQs with Graham Hughes. And until then, just thank you for the discussion. And thanks to everyone in the chat for being really kind and being really supportive of each other. That matters and means quite a lot. And I love the community that we've built here. I think it's really, really important for the mental health of everyone who's a part of it, certainly my mental health. And having this opportunity, I want to thank you, because having this opportunity to talk through what the fuck is going on in the news, especially at this moment in human history, is such a pressure valve for me. You genuinely keep me sane. So thank you so much for that. I'll see you in about an hour. And until then, thanks for the super chats. Give us a like on the way out. And until we meet again, I'll say, don't forget, 6 o'clock tonight, Rabbit Hole with me and Rachel. And we're going to be talking Room 101. We're going to be throwing things in Room 101. Or I am anyway. And Rachel's going to be getting you to vote on whether it should go into Room 101 or not. Ivan Ambrose, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. Oh, hang on. Oh, shit. Sorry, press the wrong button. Press the wrong button there, mate. Sorry. I mean, twitchy trigger finger there. Because I was about to wrap up. Ivan, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. They say go for a walk in nature. What? Not everyone can do that, and it won't help everyone. Yeah. Ivan, as we discussed, I like something that works for one person might not work for another. someone having a support animal might work for someone, and it might stress the fuck out of somebody else. They might have an allergic reaction. Some medicine might work for one person, might not work for another. Someone might have really bad side effects from a medicine, whereas someone will have no side effects whatsoever. I've been on my ADHD medication since Christmas Eve. I don't really feel that different. I don't know what it's supposed to be doing that makes me feel different, but I don't feel that different. So I don't really know what to do about this. Been waiting ages to get this medication. And to be honest with you, it's a bit like waving a sausage in the Mersey tunnel, if you know what I mean. But yeah, we'll see. Maybe I'll go off it and then I'll realise the good things that it was doing for me. I don't know. But anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in about an hour's time for Prime Minister's questions. If not, I'll see you tomorrow at 9 o'clock for next Morning Brew. And until then, I'll say hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.